Today we're going to be talking about the Makita cordless 5 3/8 metal cutting saw, which I am a huge fan of after just a week of using it. Now to briefly talk about the title and the thumbnail, I have spent the last 5 or 6 years since getting rid of my commercial furniture shop pursuing a life of the trades as a pack-out carpenter fabricator, meaning the majority of my metalwork and woodwork is done on site or in the shop and then brought on site by myself or maybe one other person. I enjoy that lifestyle. It gives me the freedom to do what I want to do. But without the resources of having a huge shop or operation, I have to pursue the very best tooling to help me make precise, efficient, effective, on-budget builds that mean the most to my client, the highest of quality, as well as the highest profit so I can provide for my family. In that pursuit, I have spent thousands of dollars on saws, reciprocating saws, sawzalls, skill saws, plunge saws, track saws, jig saws, hand saws. And I feel pretty qualified at this point to talk about their different capabilities, the effectiveness, their price point, the quality and longevity. I support all tool brands that make quality products. This is not a Makita advertisement, but this is a full-blown endorsement for this saw. If you were looking for a metal cutting saw that comes in at a decent price, the Makita 5 3/8 metal cutting saw by far and away has outperformed all of the other saws I have tried to use for cutting metal, even with the right blade setup, to date in my career. Now let's get back into it. Right out the gate, I want to say thanks Makita for throwing in some free goggles. That's really cool because safety glasses scratch so quickly in a shop. I throw them out all the time once they do because it feels like I have astigmatism if I don't. My thought on the looks, it looks like a gun from Halo, and I played Halo as a kid coming up, so I'm a pretty big fan of that. Also, it felt really good in the hand, and there was very minimal mechanical movement, which means less stuff to break. Now this is a rip and run saw, meaning there wasn't any significant setup to do on it. I just slapped in a battery and started getting after it. I'm cutting 12 gauge 1.5 by 1.5 tube steel for a 17-foot banquette that I have to build. Now, the first thing that I love about the saw is the power and the safety, but the second thing really that I love about its performance is that it does a fantastic job of taking off nominal edge cuts without the blade drifting. 1/8 inch, 1/16 inch, even 32nd of an inch, it just trims the end of your steel so cleanly without drifting. If you didn't have a perfectly square cut on the first go, it just dials it in absolutely to perfection. The other thing is obviously it's catching the majority of the metal fragments that are flying off the carbides. It just does a fantastic job of catching the debris. And I took this for granted on all the past saws that I've used, and thus this saw just surpassed all of the other saws I've used to cut metal with for this reason alone. Simply open up the cartridge, every so often empty it out, and boom. You're left with a saw that feels good in the hand, comes in at a great price point, and really performs when you need it to. This banquette project was a pretty large one. A 17-foot run is not a small build, and every single cut worked out perfectly, and the client was completely happy. I was happy because I got to make fast work of all my cuts with a new tool that I always feel pays itself off if the job goes well and effectively. Some cons about the saw. It's noisy, but anytime you're cutting metal with a skill saw and a carbide blade, it's going to be noisier than, say, a bandsaw. There's no place for lubrication, although I suppose you could trick the guard up and wax the blade if you wanted to, although for safety reasons, I'm not so sure I recommend that. It's a little risky for your fingers. Things I love about the saw. Honestly, almost as much as the safety with the metal debris catch comes the ergonomics. Over the years of working in the trades, you might experience what a lot of us do, which is body part failure, basically. You're getting old. For me, it's my labrum on my right shoulder. I've had minor tears in it, and it doesn't just come from one cataclysmic injury. It often comes from wear and tear of things like grabbing tools out of your truck, passing it to a colleague. That motion right there actually hurts if I fully extend. We take for granted what ounces can really equate to over a decade, meaning a saw that weighs 4 ounces more than its competitor can really take a toll on you if you're passing it 4 times a day over the course of 14 years. It really adds up. So I really appreciate that Makita has taken away all of the components that weren't needed on this saw, and what you're left with is power, performance, precision, and safety, which is all you can really ask for in a saw. Not to mention it comes in at right around $200. Kind of blows my mind. So after years of one of my colleagues telling me that this saw was the real deal, that it far outpaced and outpassed the performance of any portable bandsaw, I finally did it, and I believe him. And I validate his urgency of telling me to buy this saw to save more money and be more proficient on my field work. If you guys are looking for a metal cutting saw, this is a great one to test out. I'm sure other platforms have them. If a battery platform is an issue for you, like it is for a lot of us when we switch to a different brand tool, I don't say this often because I support being the most effective for your own business, but this is worth jumping over just for 1 or 2 batteries, just to have this in your arsenal. I did it for the DeWalt portable bandsaw, and I don't regret it. If you're not a Makita person, this saw is actually worth buying and getting a battery for based off the performance. The only thing I can't speak to on it is its longevity, which again, if it's anything like the other ones I've had in the past, I'm looking to expect at least 5 years and several thousand cuts, a few ladder falls and workbench tumbles before it starts to go on me. If you guys have any questions on this saw, let me know in the comments below. Keep it respectful. I do not ever mind disagreements or difference of opinions. Let's just keep it classy here. This is a channel for people to learn and share ideas on. If you like what you're seeing, do us a favor and give it a thumbs up. And if you really like it, consider subscribing. We are so excited for the growth of this channel, and we can't wait to bring more material to you. So all in all, the Makita 5 3/8 cordless metal cutting saw, this thing rips. Give it a try. See ya.